Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of I've Been Playing, where today we're talking about Dragon Quest XI: Echoes of an Elusive Age. In this particular Dragon Quest game, you start as an infant during an invasion in your kingdom, and you are set off floating down a river because of the strange mark you have on your hand that indicates that you are a luminary, which, of course, at this point in the game, I at least have no idea what that means, and if it has any connection to the other games. Again, if there's something I'm missing there, please tell me in the comments down below. But you float down the river and you get collected by an old man, and you are raised in a very small village known as Cobblestone. After some time passes, you go through a coming-of-age ceremony with your best friend and closest confidant in the town, because she's the same age as you, Gemma, and when you get attacked by a monster at the top of the hill that you're climbing as part of this coming-of-age ceremony, you strike down a giant monster with lightning that shoots out of your special marked hand. And that is kind of when you start to learn your true origins and your true destiny, as you get sent to meet the king in Heliodor, and thus begins your giant hero adventure. Now, of course, this game is a JRPG. It's a good 50 hours at least, probably twice that if you want to get to the very end of the game. I myself have played maybe 5 hours tops as of recording, so while I have gotten farther into the story than that, I do not know what's coming. And also, that's kind of where the story starts, so anything beyond that is potential spoiler territory. I do realize this game has been out for a while, but just in case. So in general, from what I can tell, this is your fairly standard JRPG in terms of mechanics. The turn-based thing is there, the kind of open world with the enemies that you can walk up to and fight and attack and do all this. You have special moves, you have spells you can learn, you have a special power unlock system that reminds me a lot of, I believe it's Final Fantasy XII, with all the little orbs you have to unlock, and there's this giant map of things. It's not nearly that big and it's not interconnected, but it's similar to that. That's what it reminds me of. And I'm not saying that's bad in any way. Personally, I prefer when Western RPGs do their Western RPG thing and JRPGs do their JRPG thing, because sometimes I'm in the mood for one type of combat and sometimes I'm in the mood for the other type of combat. So it's nice to have one that's like not trying to do this interconnected thing, because I feel like a lot of more recent ones try to do a merger of the two, and I don't tend to like that. Like I said, I want one or the other. I don't really want both mixed together necessarily. It depends on the game, and it depends on the combat system, I suppose, just how it's implemented, but it's refreshing to do one that just seems like your standard turn-based combat, even though some people may consider that a little old. I enjoy it. It gives me time to think. I think that's why I enjoy it. There's also a lot of the monsters I'm noticing have these fun little names. They're not, some of them are puns, some of them are just silly little names, and they're great, and the monster designs are fun. Some of them are terrifying. There's one that's just like a slug with massive lips, which is the most horrific thing I've ever seen. But a lot of the monster design is really cool. It seems really unique. The only thing I knew from Dragon Quest, I think, were those little blue slime blob things. Like, I've seen those elsewhere. I don't know where, but I recognize them. But a lot of them are a lot of fun. There's this pig in a hat, which is adorable, and I feel bad killing it. There was also this little kitten-looking thing, which I only fought one of because I felt bad. But there are a lot of fun enemies around, and I'm enjoying fighting them. And you know, unlocking new skills and learning about different abilities and stuff like that. And I only have one extra character in my party right now, because obviously you start with just your hero and collect people as you go. I've only collected one, which indicates, even more than the fact that I'm only maybe 5 hours into the game, that I am very not close to the end. But from what I can tell, you can have 4 people in your party, and there are these special moves that are called pet powers, I believe. So it's like when every member of your party, or at least 2 I think, are powered up with this kind of blue glow, you can do special moves, and those are fun to unlock and do. And that, appropriately enough, considering it reminds me a lot of Yakuza Like a Dragon, because I talked about Yakuza Like a Dragon on this channel before. It's a great game, and it has these, I guess, kind of combo moves that you can do with other characters in your party that are kind of special moves, and the reason that whole game is in a more turn-based combat kind of system is because Ichiban Kasuga loves Dragon Quest, and I I love the like little connections I can see there and where the inspiration for Yakuza Like a Dragon came from, even though it's obviously a very different game. It's fairly easy, fairly straightforward battle mechanics, but they're easy and straightforward battle mechanics, so it's not too bad, it's not too complicated, it's not hard to get into. You always have a little bit of a problem where you're gonna reach a point where you realize you have to level up a bit more, maybe because you come up against something that's a bit too strong for you, so you do the level up thing, but if you're playing a JRPG, you're probably gonna expect that, so that's not a problem or anything. It's just one of those things you always have to keep in mind when you play one of these games. Another thing I'm really enjoying that I wish more games, and especially more big long games did, is that every time you load your save, it gives you a recap of what's happened. Not super extensive, and it's just a couple of screens of text, but at least there's something that reminds you where in the story you are, and it's so nice, and I really wish games would start doing that, because there are a lot of games I'm playing a lot at once. A lot of them are really long now, whether they need to be or not, and it would be nice to just, you know, if I for whatever reason have to fall off a game for a week, or do fall off a game for a week or a month or whatever, it would be really nice to be able to jump into my save and know what I'm doing, and know what's going on, know where I'm heading, especially. So that's a really nice thing that games, please start incorporating that. That would be so nice. I do have quite a few things that I'm not liking though, and I am liking the game overall, and these complaints are probably gonna make it seem like I'm not, but I am genuinely enjoying the game as a whole. There are just some little things that I feel like could be more polished. The voice acting to me sounds not great. I'm not even sure. I'm pretty sure. I can't say for sure, but I don't know if any of those accents are real. They don't sound real to me, but I'm not really in authority, so I don't know. Accent or not, they do sound kind of not great sometimes. That just, some of the delivery sometimes doesn't feel right, and it just feels a little stilted and awkward. I don't know if that's the dialogue itself, or the pauses between the characters speaking because of the, you know, you progress the text box. I don't know what it is, it just sounds a little stilted to me. There's also the music. It's good music, don't get me wrong, it's very good adventuring music, but I feel like sometimes it doesn't really fit what's happening on my screen. Like, it feels a little bit out of place sometimes, or a little bit too upbeat for just walking down the street. Like I said, it's good music, it doesn't seem to fit sometimes. Also, you have your general walking speed and you have your running speed, and when you're walking around it's fine, it feels fine, it moves fine, everything goes smoothly, but as soon as you start running, it's like running with the shopping cart. Like, it's hard to turn, it's hard to maneuver, you run into things constantly, it's sluggish, it feels like it takes a few extra milliseconds for the controls to catch up with what the controls did, or the screen to catch up with what the controls did, and it makes it really hard to want to run anywhere, even though you want to run places because it's much faster, which is unfortunate. It feels uncomfortable to run around, and it should feel better to run around because you're going faster and getting places faster, but it just feels more like it causes more problems than it does anything else. And the final thing I think that is bothering me, or at least bothered me the last time I played because it became an issue then, is that the checkpoints are few and far between, it seems like. It's okay to have a save point that you have to physically go to and save at, that's fine, I don't have a problem with that. But at this point in time, the autosaves should be closer together than like 20 minutes, because I started a big kind of temple kind of thing. I got down all the way to the bottom to the, I guess it was a mini boss, it wasn't really a boss, but I got down to the bottom, and obviously I didn't know what was through that room. I wasn't really expecting a boss at that point, even a mini boss, so of course, my party got wiped out, and then I had to do the entire temple over again. And then I got wiped out by a lower enemy, so I had to do it again. I don't see why I have to start at the beginning of the temple. It's not that big a temple, granted, and maybe bigger places later on have checkpoints part of the way through, but the fact that I had to start over from the very top, very beginning when this thing has 4 or 5 floors worth of stairs to go down at least. It would have been nice to have an autosave a little more often. So I think my first experience with the Dragon Quest games is going pretty well. So far I haven't come up against anything that I can't fight. I always seem to have that problem in JRPGs, or a lot of the time, where I'd get to something that no matter how much I level up, I seem to not be able to get past. I had that problem with Final Fantasy games, I've had that problem with a couple of the Persona games, like I want to say the reason I quit Persona 4 was because of that, or maybe it was Persona 3, it was one of them. I got stuck on something and I don't know how to level up enough to get past it, so I basically probably have to start the entire game again, on top of the fact that it's been like 3 years since I played it. So hopefully that doesn't happen to me this time, but I am enjoying it, and I don't know, it's a fun story. I'm interested to see more about kind of the lore of Dragon Quest as a whole, because as I said, I don't really know much about it. So it'll be interesting to get some of that as I progress through the story. But that's been my first foray into the Dragon Quest series. Have you played any of the others or this one? Let me know what you think of them down in the comments below, if there's any lore I should know, if there's any interconnected story or story points or Easter eggs that maybe I wouldn't get, or I probably definitely wouldn't get. Leave them in the comments down below, let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this, leave a like, and consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed, because I do one of these every Monday. I'm able to play a new game, and a whole bunch of other stuff on my channel that you can check out, and I'll see you next time.